think they've got to be sellers and quick with what they got going. Yeah.
Well, that's where you tear it down and you rebuild it. You go out and get you some assets for these guys that, you over the cap, so you're not going to win for the next couple of years. So now it's time for you to tear it down and start rebuilding it. Get you some assets, get you some draft picks that you can start over with where you can lower that salary cap. Because I think they're going to be that way for the next 1 or 2 years.
Yeah,
at least. Then you go back out and you sign Alvin Kamara, and he's going to be a vital player in their organization, but you're not going to win. So you're not getting anything out of him but production at this point. And then you have Derek Carr. So you have some problems down the road that you need to try to start fixing on the right now. And I think that's their problem.
Yeah, they've definitely got some problems. Kyrie, I'll let you go ahead and finish your thought that you were making earlier about Dennis Allen getting fired and what you think they need to do here.
Yeah, Rocky's right. I mean, not Rocky, but
Wayne is right.
Wayne's right. Yeah, they need to tear it down, man. You already got your I know Spencer Rattler didn't light it up in his first few games, but hey, he's a backup rookie, and he has an arm. You need to develop that arm. If Bo Nix can start 16 games, then you can see what Spencer Rattler looks like for the rest of the year and going forward. I think you need to sit Derek Carr, offload Marshawn Lattimore. Sorry. Just a little too old. Marshawn Lattimore is just at that threshold where he's just a little too old to hang on to. Cam Jordan is way too old to hang on to. As the same with DeMario Davis.
Yeah.
Who else, man? Your quarterback that you got out there is literally, I ain't gonna say literally, but it needs to be investigated because I'm looking at attempted murder on y'all number one pick, man, every week. This dude has had 5 concussions in his career, man, and he ain't been in the league 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So you got a quarterback of the future that has some talent, that has had moments. He looks like he's out of depth right now, but I don't think it's a talent problem. I think he just don't. Man, it's Spencer Rattler, man. That dude was a juice head, man. He's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time for him to mature and come into this NFL offense. But yeah, tear it down. Send Kamara somewhere. I would do that as well. He's slowing down. He's still good, but he definitely lost a step. As well with the defensive guys we talked about. Tear that stuff down, man. Last point, man. I just think it's hilarious that you're a head coach, right? And the same quarterback gets you fired twice mid-season.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't think about that.
I didn't either.
No, he got to fight Derek Carr. I ain't gonna lie. The relationship can't be good there. You got him fired twice, but hey, he's been a part of both of those. And some people are just better in this league as a coordinator. And Dennis Allen is probably one of those guys. I thought this was kind of a bridge coach when they made him the head coach and Sean Payton left. They didn't really try to go and find anybody. They just kept him as a bridge, and they kept their offensive coordinator a little bit too long past the time they needed to. Now they got a new offensive coordinator, but it's already too late at this point as the damage has been done. And like you said, DeMario Davis and Cam Jordan, they got to find buyers for them tonight, because those are two extremely older players that still have great production in the league, so they'll help a team out. And you can get a 4th or 5th round pick. Like I said, I think Detroit should be blowing up the Saints to try to go get Cam Jordan because they need a pass rush bad, even though we'll talk about Detroit a little bit later. They're still looking like a great team, but they need that to take them over the edge. They're going to beat these teams now, but to get up to that next point in the season as the playoffs come and different stuff like that, they're going to need that elite type of pass rush that can put pressure on somebody. And Cam Jordan is still one of those players, I think. And Davis is. I've heard rumors of Kansas City trying to figure out something, a way to get Marshawn Lattimore, which would just be even more cheating. I don't know how they keep adding these people on in here. I'm like, man, this is getting crazy at this point. If they add Marshawn Lattimore, then they're just going to completely throw my pick of them not three-peating in the trash can if they find a way to do something like that. But I think they're sellers, as are many teams going on right now. And I think the New Orleans Saints are going to be one of them. What does the future look like? I'll ask you guys that for the New Orleans Saints. Like, what do you do from here? You You're $80 million against the cap. You fire a coach. You just lost 7 games in a row. Your players are tweeting saying that we're terrible. Cam Jordan is tweeting out apologies. He's sending out an apology to New Orleans fans for them being that bad at football the last 7 weeks. Your organization is where it's at. You're already not in a huge market being in New Orleans. What do you do here? And Wayne, I'll start with you. Where do you go from here as an organization if you're trying to map out your next few years?
We just discussed it.
Yeah,
you have to tear it down. You have to tear it down and rebuild it. I mean, you have to start over, and it kind of starts at the top.
Yeah,
so you got to go out and you have to get the right head coach. They've made some bad decisions over the last few years, and I'll start with bringing in Derek Carr.
Yeah,
that's where it started at, and so you just have to start over and rebuild, man. You have to start from the bottom, and work your way back up to the top. It's going to take a few years to get there, but you can do it. You can do it. So it's a lot of teams that do that, but the teams that have been successful in doing it, you want to talk about Tampa Bay. You want to talk about Washington right now is a prime example of a team that just kind of tore it down, went and got a new head coach, and it made all the difference in the world. So you just got to go out and find that right guy that's right for your organization and that can bring you back up. And it's going to be tough, but it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. And I think almost all the teams, if not all the teams this year, have their first round pick. So there's a lot of teams that are in the market right now for a lot, and I don't know if the Saints want to start with a quarterback, if they want to start building their line, if they just want to take the best player available. Because I'm looking at just in their division, obviously Carolina's going to be looking for a quarterback or something coming up, and the New York Giants are in the NFC as well. They're going to be looking for a quarterback coming up. We don't know how the Cowboys what direction they're going to try to go with who they're going to pick, but they could potentially have a top 5 pick, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But the Raiders are going to be in the market for a quarterback. The Titans are for sure in the market for a quarterback. The Browns are in the market. Right now, New England's look decent with Drake May. They're still losing games, but Drake May wasn't going to change that anyway. He's not that type of quarterback. It's crazy to see the amount of teams that are going to be shopping for a quarterback, and it's only about 4 or 5 quarterbacks that everybody's going to want in that top first round coming out this year. And I'm looking at about 6 teams that are going to be in the market for a quarterback coming up. And then what do you do with the older guys like a Derek Carr? Does he go and be a bridge quarterback somewhere like Indianapolis or one of these other teams that kind of need a bridge QB? Or there's a lot to be decided in this upcoming offseason with how this draft is starting to shape out. And a lot of huge decisions I think are going to be made. I mean, even the Jets right now are 3-6, and they've got an old quarterback. Do they do the Packers model of let's go ahead and draft somebody in the first round right now, sitting behind Rodgers?
And then you got a guy like Tua that's concussion.
Yeah.
Then you have a guy like Matthew Stafford that's old. So now it's time to start turning over as far as the quarterback position. So, but you can it's only so many that meet expectations as a first round draft choice. So and then you talk about the Jets, which has an old quarterback as well. So Trevor Lawrence is not looking well. You having problems in Indianapolis.
Yep.
So you take Minnesota for example. They restructured they got a quarterback that's been shuffled around the whole league, and he's came in and been successful. But how do we look at that? Is that just this season, or is that gonna be a deal where he's gonna be successful for the rest of his career? You just don't know. So now you have about 4 or 5 quarterbacks that's coming out, and you need about 10 teams that really need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then you have these guys like Derek Carr, like you said. I don't think you start with a quarterback. I think you start with your line and get the best available players, because you're not going to win with a quarterback right now anyway. So, but you'll definitely be in one of them top 10 picks, because You hadn't won number 2 games.
Yeah.
So you're right there in the shuffle. So maybe you can get a quarterback in New Orleans. But the 2 guys that they say is Sanders and Carson Beck, right? Those are the 2 guys. And
Quinn is coming out this year, I think. Maybe.
He puts me in the mode of a Derek Carr. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you talk about the pressure that he's seen with Georgia. I mean, and if you can't deal with that, you won't be able to deal with the elaborate defenses in the NFL as well.
Yeah.
But I would just say those 2 guys right now, the 2 top guys that stand out to me.
Yeah, I'm starting to see them throw the quarterback from Penn State in there now too, Drew Aller. Over the last few weeks, he's kind of risen up in draft boards, and but we all know that's going to change because a month ago we sat on the show and looked at the mock draft, and they had Jalen Milroe going number 9 in the draft. I think that's falling. I don't see him in the top round pick anymore in some of these mock drafts. So we know those are going to change. I think the only constants are, like you said, Shador and Carson Beck. Kyra, what you think about this quarterback situation, man, and how many teams are going to be looking for a quarterback coming up, and then this upcoming draft only having about 4 or 5 guys maybe really that you're going to want to take?
Man, it's really only like 2 guys I think are going to be NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And maybe 3. But so a lot of people are going to reach. I hope my team's not one of them. But if I think that's the approach you have to take, though. Like, you just get the best player available. Shador's not going to save your season. Carson Beck's not going to save your season. You got other holes to fill, so take the best available. And then you see what Spencer Rattler has to do, has for you first this next year. Really, I say this year. I think Derek Carr should be on the trade block if you can get rid of him.
Ain't nobody trading for that dude, man.
Too much money.
No,
Yeah.
but maybe, because I don't know. Like, I've been watching Cam Jordan all year. I'm not impressed. Like, his only trading partner might be ESPN. So I don't know. I don't know where he gonna go either, man. Because I haven't seen him do anything really. But yeah, just tear it down. Sell Marshawn Lattimore to Patrick Mahomes so he can get his GOAT conversation going, man, and just try to draft well. And if you can get Shador, then yeah, you're good. Then get Shador. But if not, man, I say, hey, just take the best available player. There's a lot of studs out there, man, that play these other positions, and you're going to need 3 or 4 of them. They're kind of in the same boat, not the exact same boat, but they're in a spot like kind of like the Cowboys. Like, man, y'all have – everybody got old on y'all really quick, right? And you are in a place where your best guys are regressing, and you're gonna have to start filling them holes, man. So that's the best way to go about it, man. Best available, and then hope. I wouldn't look at Washington though as a pillar of tearing it down, because I think Kirk Cousins left when.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins left in 17, 16, somewhere in there.
And they've been in QB purgatory for like ever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do a rebuild like that. Like, I'm talking about 2-3 years now, not 7.
Well, they went through a head coach too. So.
Yeah, they went through a head coach. They went through a lot in Washington. And they missed on some picks. That's what's more importantly. It ain't even about the teams like the Texans have showed you. It don't take that long to rebuild. The problem is you can't miss on your first round picks when you go out here and get these first round picks. You start missing, then that's when the problems start popping up over your team, because you've missed on those guys like the Raiders. We talked about the Raiders been in a rebuild for about 10 years, teams like that. So, and I'm looking at these mock drafts right now. They got Shador going 5 to Cleveland. I don't see that happening. That's just somebody's mock draft. I think this is Bleacher Report or something like that. But I think it's going to be a bidding war and a fight for Travis Hunter is what I think. Because a lot of teams are thinking the same thing of, hey, we're sorry, but do we trade the farm to go get one of these quarterbacks, and there's somebody like Travis Hunter sitting out there who can – you don't know what he's going to do. You just plug him in on your team and figure out, I guess, what he's going to do with how he's been playing. So it's going to be crazy to see. I think right now they got, like I said, Shador, Cam, Quinn Ewers, all going in that top 10. They got Ashton Genty going to the Cowboys, which I know that's probably what's going to happen. Y'all love seeing getting a running back and picking them top 10, like that's going to change everything. But I think the Cowboys will probably get Ashton Jeanty, which I don't think is smart. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. This running back class this year is stacked. You're going to be able to get a good running back, a starting day one running back, probably in the third or fourth round this year. So I wouldn't be looking to take any running back high this year. I probably wouldn't pick a running back into the third round, honestly, because there's at least 10 solid running backs coming out this year, and there's not many years you can say that in the NFL. So
Hey, Jay,
go ahead.
I'm calling it now. We're getting Travis. We're not winning another game.
Man,
Micah's not coming back.
why would they? Why would any of them come back?
Dak's not coming back. We're going to see Cooper Rush for the rest of the season. They always preach this optimism when players get hurt. They said Michael was going to be out 4 weeks. It's going on week 6. They said Bland was going to be out 6 weeks. It's going on week 12. It's crazy.
Because what's the point of bringing them back?
Yeah, especially when you're not winning.
Yeah, ain't no point in coming back and getting hurt.
No need to rush.
So we're sitting at 10 right now, right? We sitting at 10.
Yeah.
We'll probably be about 4. So we'll be top 5 by the end of the year. They're not going to win another game. We had to.
You'll beat the Giants.
Yeah, they're going to beat the Giants even with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush going to throw for 300 on them. All the Cowboys fans are going to start saying, we hate Dak. Let's start Cooper Rush like they did a couple years ago. And y'all will win a couple games. The Titans are going to be worse than the Cowboys.
And I would try to botch that game. I'm trying to get a high draft.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
stick Trey Lance in there. You know you're going to lose. You stick him. Yeah. He threw 5 picks in a preseason game. I'll stick Trey Lance in there. you throw 5 picks against the number 3, the number 3s out there. You ain't even playing the 2s. You playing against the 3s, and you throw 5 picks. That's crazy. So maybe they should stick him out there. Folks, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, obviously, we have to talk about the Cowboys and their loss to the Falcons and what's going on. You know Jerry Jones had more to say, as he always does. We got to talk about a little bit in hour number 2, Texas A&M. Yeah, Texas A&M and them getting a loss, and then Baylor picking up a win. Got to talk a little bit about this Monday night game as well. And also, stay tuned, folks. We have Congressman Colin Alward will be calling in, and we'll talk about him a little bit. He'll talk about how important tomorrow is for the entire nation to go out there and vote. So stay tuned and stay locked in, folks. You're listening and watching Centex Primetime here on Centex Sports Network. We'll be right back after this break.
Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis. Act like y'all. Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash,
Congressman Allred, can you hear me?
retirement party.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got you.
Elegance, class, and style.
All right, we'll come back from break in just a second. We got about one more commercial and we'll jump right into it.
Or scan the QR code to schedule
Yes,
a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's a sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie, 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time here on this wonderful Monday afternoon. Folks, we're going to get right to it. We have a very special guest on here today with us. We know this is a very, very important time of the year as Election Day is tomorrow. And we have a huge, huge special guest here. We have Congressman Colin Allred calling in with us today. Congressman, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Oh, Congressman, like we said, it's yes, sir, for sure. And like we said, it's a very, very a special, important time of the year, and we'll let you get to that in just a minute. But we definitely want to talk about, we are a sports show here. We want to talk about your time at Baylor. You know, you graduated from Hillcrest High School in Dallas and became a Baylor Bear out here in Waco, Texas. How was your time at Baylor, and what are some of those core memories you have from your time you spent at Baylor?
Well, I came to Baylor at a time when, at least the first few years I was there, we were really struggling. And Kevin Steele was the head coach. I played as a true freshman, had a great linebacker coach who I really liked named Brick Haley, and then he left. I got hurt my next year in two-a-days, and so I got redshirted. And then we had a couple of years that were just, really just kind of chaotic. And then we got a new coach in named Guy Morris, and I got to be captain of the team and was playing well. And by the time I got to my last year, we finished 5-7. We lost 2 games in double overtime on the road at A&M at Oklahoma. Otherwise, we would have been 7-5. And we were a team that at that point we didn't have the talent. What we had done is we had learned how to be scrappy, and we had learned how to really outwork our opponents. And that's how we competed. And so I really enjoyed my time at Baylor. We had a really great group of guys. We had a very high graduation rate, a lot of high character guys when I was there. And it was something that for me, taught me a lot about leadership, commitment, determination, all things that have helped me in the rest of my life.
Yes, sir. Congressman, what was it like coming down the road a little bit down here to Waco, Texas, and getting a chance to live out here for a few years? And like I said, moving down from Dallas to a little bit smaller city out here in Waco.
Well, I think it was good for me because I came from public schools in Dallas, and I think if I'd gone to a really big school, I might have gotten a little bit lost. But going to a school that was just kind of the right size, I kind of got to find my way. I started off as a biology pre-med major because I thought, doctors make good money, so I thought I'd be a doctor, and that wasn't working out. I was doing okay, but it wasn't really something I was enjoying, so I switched to history, and I enjoyed living in Waco. I enjoyed playing at Baylor. I wish that we'd have the stadium they have now instead of playing at Ford Casey. But I think it was all character building because we used to pile into whoever's cars would start after school and drive over to Ford Casey for practice. And that's something that these guys today will never understand.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Now, Congressman, you had a really good senior season. You kind of downplayed it a little bit, but you had a 5.5 season 5.5 sack season out there, 9 tackles for loss as well at your last season at Baylor. And that helped you parlay a career into the NFL, getting to play for the Titans. Talk about your time a little bit playing in the league.
Yeah. Well, as I kind of learned once I got to the league, they're looking for certain things. And I think that even though at Baylor we weren't having a ton of success, they had been looking at some of our guys, and I was one of them that got on their radar. But my senior year, as you said, I kind of solidified that. And I made my way in the NFL as an undrafted free agent, but I made it by playing every single linebacker position. We ran a 4-3 defense, and I played middle linebacker, I played strong side, I played weak side, which was very unusual. At that time, no one was doing that really. I could rush the passer a little bit, but also played special teams. And I made my living, by being somebody who could do a lot of different things. And I got to have 5 years with the same team, which is pretty unusual for an undrafted free agent. And I would have kept playing, quite honestly. But in my 5th year, actually in my 5th game against the Cowboys in Dallas, which is a big deal for a Dallas kid, I tackled Marion Barber on a power running play off tackle. And he and Martellus Bennett hit me at the same time, and my neck just kind of got bent in an awkward direction, and I lost feeling on the right side of my arms, and it was really worse than lost feeling. It was just like extreme stinger, and it turned out I had a bulging disc in my neck and had to have surgery, and so that ended my career. But I really enjoyed it, and I was somebody who had to make the team every year. I had to work hard to make the team, and then I had to work hard throughout the year to stay on the team. And so that's something I've never forgotten.
No, for sure. And it definitely ended up working out for you and what you're being able to do now. Now, Congressman, we know you're extremely busy, and especially this time of year, very busy. Have you got a chance to watch any? And I know the Titans are the team that you ended up playing for, but like you just said, the Cowboys, you're a Dallas kid, hometown kid. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch either one of those. Which one of those teams is it that you get a chance to root for when you do get to watch some NFL?
Yeah, listen, I grew up a huge Cowboys fan. When I was in school and growing up, that's when they were winning the Super Bowls. And so, Emmitt Smith is a friend of mine. I'm a huge fan of his. Russell Maryland's a friend of mine. I'm a huge fan of his, all those guys. And so I still watch them, and I'm, as a linebacker, I'm upset that they can't stop the run.
Yeah.
And I think everything kind of starts from there for them because they can't stop the run. They can't run the ball. And even in this era of the NFL, you still got to be able to control the clock and keep your defense off the field and all those things. And, when I watch the Titans, I think they're a team that really, since they messed up with Vince Young, and I do mean that they messed up, they have been searching for a franchise quarterback, and they don't have one. They got a lot of talent around on that team in different positions, but they don't have a quarterback. And I just got to tell folks, if Vince was playing right now in this run pass option offenses that we see around the league, he would be destroying the league right now. I don't know if folks remember that he was doing the RPO thing and just killing it at UT. And that's how he beat USC on his own, basically, was the RPO. And we got to the NFL, and the Titans were trying to make him do 5- and 7-step drops, and it just wasn't working, But anyway, so, to me, the team in Texas to watch, though, is the Texans because they've got a great young quarterback. They got a lot of talent, even though they had some injuries at the receiver position. They got a lot of talent, and I really like their coach. I played against D'Amico when he was playing for the Texans. He was a division rival of mine. I had a lot of respect for him as a player. I have a lot of respect for him as a coach, and I think he's doing a great job.
Oh, he definitely is. Now, Congressman, you start speaking my language talking about the Houston Texans, and that's my team. So I don't know.
Yeah, okay, well, I can go all day on them because I think they made some really smart moves in the offseason too. So. Oh
yeah, they definitely did. They're battling a couple of injuries right now, but I think they'll be able to fight through it with like a great coach, like you said, and Coach D'Amico Ryans. Congressman, we want to thank you for coming on here. Before we let you go, definitely want to get you to talk about tomorrow. It is a very, very important day, and Election Day is tomorrow. And I want to give you a chance to just go ahead and tell the people about that.
Yeah, I just hope everybody listen to this. If they haven't voted, that they go vote tomorrow. You got till 7 to 7 tomorrow. You can find your closest polling location at mytexasvotes.com if you don't know where to vote. But make sure you make your voice heard. I'm a fourth-generation Texan. I was raised by a single mother in Dallas. Football and my coaches and my teachers are why I've had a chance to chase my version of the American dream. And I see us as being on a team together. And I think we have to have a leader who brings us together around our values that we share. And to me, we've had a senator for 12 years who's been all about himself. My team is going to be Texas. And so I hope everybody listens to this. We'll go vote tomorrow. I obviously asked for your vote for myself, but I also just hope that you vote. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Congressman. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do this again, and next time we'll be saying Senator Colin Allred whenever you get a chance to call in. Definitely appreciate you coming on here today, and thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. And sick 'em Bears.
Sick 'em Bears. And folks, like we said, that was Congressman Colin Allred. It's very, very important that you guys get out and vote tomorrow. Like he said, if you haven't done so already, tomorrow is a very important day, and we wanted to give time on this platform to be able to talk about that. Make sure you guys go out and vote. That is definitely very, very important. Folks, we're going to go to a very short break. We're going to come back for a quick second before we go into hour number 2. So make sure you stay here, stay locked in on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Welcome back, everybody, into Centex Primetime. Want to thank everybody for watching with us. Just got a chance to talk to Congressman Colin Allred, like we said, hopefully future Senator, Congressman Colin Allred, and definitely appreciate him for jumping on here and talking about us. And I wanted to wait to be able to talk about this here. While we got a few minutes left, might have to parlay it somewhat into hour number 2 as well. But definitely want to get on here and talk about the Dallas Cowboys and what they had to do yesterday. I didn't want to make Congressman mad and not have him come on there with us because he is a Dallas kid from Dallas, like he said. But he started speaking my language and said best team in Texas out here is Houston, Texas. So he definitely got more points from me out of that one. But folks, got to talk about while we got a couple minutes here before we go to hour number 2. Dallas Cowboys losing to the Atlanta Falcons yesterday, and what ended up being a close game, but wasn't that close of a game for majority of it in Atlanta. Pretty much dominating out there, man. I mean, making Kirk Cousins come out there and look like Joe Montana or something in that game, and he had a great game in there, and the Cowboys, their struggles just continued. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. Their struggles continue. They lose 27-21. Dak Prescott, 18 for 24, touchdown, 130 yards. He ended up getting hurt in that game as well. Multiple storylines out of this, so I know we'll have to talk about this more in hour number 2 as well. Zeke Elliott didn't make the trip with the team. Not sure what's going on with that. There's rumors about him missing meetings or some other stuff. It's like, you averaging like 10 yards a game, bro. You think you would be at the meeting, but hey, Dak gets hurt. Cooper Rush comes in, throws a touchdown, 13 for 25, 115 yards. Already seen people in Dallas, some Dallas fans saying, Cooper Rush came in and made the game close. It's like, all right, let's not start this again this year, guys. Cooper Rush did come in the game, and they did get closer, I guess. But that's because the game was already over with. Kirk Cousins, 19 for 24, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Bijan Robinson was pretty much unstoppable in this game. 19 carries, 86 yards to go along with 7 catches and 59 yards as well. Over 100 plus yards from scrimmage in this game. Darnell Mooney, who's really been their main receiver this whole year. 5 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Drake London got in on the action with a touchdown before he went out the game with an injury. And Kyle Pitts, of course, he's on started him in fantasy this week, and of course he didn't do much of nothing. Catching 11 yards. It seemed like when I start him is when he decides he don't want to do anything. But I'll let you guys talk about this, and like I said, we'll probably have to talk about it a little bit too in hour number 2. But Kyrell, you're the Cowboys fan, man. I'll start with you. What's going on? What'd you think about the game yesterday?
Oh man, I can't quote Dak on the radio, but he's right.
Yeah.
He's right. We are garbage juice, man. Trash can juice. Whatever is on your palate, man. That's what we are. Can't do anything, man. Can't do anything at all. There's going to be some major changes coming these next couple weeks, but there's going to be. It's just built up frustration and everything. So man, I don't know what they're gonna do about this whole situation. Like, you're kind of stuck. You're in a spot where you can't really move on from Dak. You have multiple holes to fill on offense and defense. Darnell Mooney, like they clearly found Caitlin Carson yesterday. We suck, man. I don't know what to talk about. They stink. And this is all Jerry's fault, by the way. Like, just to clear that up, this is all Jerry's fault. They look like a team that was what's it called when they add a team to the league, an expansion team. That's what they look like. They look like they didn't have an off season, and I think that everything we're seeing, man, they get in the red zone. You can count on it, man. If they could let you gamble on this, it'd probably be 100%. Like, you would hit every time. You can count on the Cowboys getting a penalty or having a penalty when they get in that red zone. They're not efficient in the goal-to-goal situations. They're not efficient on first and second down. They put a stat up there on the TV, man. It said the most efficient, the least efficient teams in the league on first and second down. It was the Browns, the Panthers, and the Cowboys.
Man.
Yeah, that's when I text y'all. I was like, yeah, I think we really might be a bottom 5 team. Like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, we're about to get Travis Hunter because we're gonna be picking that high. I'm telling you, Micah done got Trayvon to come on his podcast weekly because I guess they needed another job. But whatever. It's just getting ridiculous, man. Our best corner is coming off an ACL injury, and he's proven to be. He might need to get with your brother, man, because you looking like the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like that, our youngest be baby. That's what it's looking like, man. You sounding like a baby and you playing like a baby. You jogging out there, getting, man, dude. It's bad. It's bad all around, and the players are the players, but look, this team won 12 games straight, 3 years in a row. All right, it ain't the players. It ain't all the players. Is what I'm saying. It ain't the stars. Is what I'm saying. This is the result of you having an inept offseason with a coach that didn't really know if he was going to be coaching at the end of the year.
He knows now.
Yeah. He's done for. He's done for. 2, you a quarterback. You got this hanging over his head. He's already not Mahomes, man. So you give him all this, you dangle this contract up in front of him all year, and then you pay him right before the season. If you was gonna go that long, you should have either paid him a year ago, paid him at the start of the offseason, or just not paid him at all. Because now you sacrificed the whole offseason, him and CDs. You kept CD out as well by not paying him. So there's no chemistry there, even though they've been playing together for 3 years. But there's no chemistry there that, when these defenses have adjusted to what they did all last year. It's just a bad part on the Jones family, man. And they get up here, and I gotta listen to this dude with his brown spots all over his face, man. Talk about, oh yeah, I believe in him. I believe in the guys and the coaches. Man, we don't believe in you. We don't believe in you. You need to step aside. Go to Cancun. Go to wherever. Go do some billionaire stuff, man, because this is ridiculous. This team won 12 games in a row, 3 straight seasons. I know they didn't get to the bowl or the championship, but that's an accomplishment. That's an accomplishment. And what you did, the only difference I see is these contract situations and the way you handle, really just the way you handle these contract situations this offseason. That's Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. Everybody gets to blame, but Jerry's getting a big piece of the pie. All right. So yeah, we stink. Tankathon. I don't want to see Dak for the rest of the year. Get Travis Hunter here. We already have like 9 picks, I believe. I know a lot of those extra picks are after the 4th round, but hey, we need some more. All right. I want new faces out there, man. I don't care, man. You might have to get one of these kids straight out of high school. Come down here to Duncanville and get Decorian Moore. It's like, what if he flips commitment from Oregon to the Cowboys? Hey, let's change the rules, man. Come on.
Yeah, they're in a bad spot, like you said, man. Wayne, I'll let you go ahead and get your opinion on what do you think about this? Not only them losing yesterday, but like Kyrell was saying, just the decision making over the last few months.
They're definitely a team in disarray. They regressed, took a step back. And the only difference is, like you said, is contracts. They have the same team, minus a few pieces on defense and a defense coordinator. And I think that's a big reason for the failures that they're having this year. But they were a playoff team, man. And they were efficient on offense last year. For the most part, Dax and CD had this chemistry that was magical last year, and you don't see that this year. But the only subtraction has been like the defense coordinator and maybe a few defensive players, but they brought back the same group of players, and they're not successful. So now you got your top players are not playing. It's not even a reason to go see the Cowboys this year. I think their season is pretty much done with.
Yeah.
It'll be a head coaching change at the end of the year. Do you bring in a guy like Bill Belichick, or do you go out and get one of these hotshot offensive gurus or whatever? But I think the biggest difference is, what they should have done last year was they should have hired Dan Quinn as the head coach. And I don't think they would be going through this because the defense was the key to everything last year. I've been hearing reports that guys want to be traded to Washington. You couldn't say that in years past.
Oh, no.
The guys wanted to be traded to the Washington Redskins because they were losing. But they're talking about his treatment as players, of the players, and his philosophy on defense. You got guys that want to go play for him, and he would have brought that same thing to Dallas if he would have been the head coach at Dallas. So I don't know. Dallas is in trouble, and they're a team that's over the salary cap too and can't do much with what they have. So
yeah,
you're gonna be probably bringing in a new head coach. Your quarterback has been in the same boat for the last 4 or 5 years. He can't get you a playoff win. What do you do? They got a lot of things to. They got a lot of questions, and I don't know how they fix things. So it's gonna take a magician to come in and fix what they have.
Seriously. There's so many things wrong with the team fundamentally, how the team is built. how the team is run. We're just still getting the reports of how they call people in to come and watch practice. They have suites. They have suites where you could come in there in the Cowboys units and come watch their team. And I don't want to go on my I was right mode too much, but I'm gonna have to go back and find the episode so I can show you guys a clip where I said at the beginning of the year when they paid Dak, this is a mistake. Your season, he's not gonna bring you over the top. You might as well go ahead and tank this season. Not even tank, but just trade Dak while you can in his last year and go out there, win 6 or 7 games, and then you draft a quarterback in the next coming year with a fully team built, because the only subtraction you would have from that is Dak. Now you got players saying they want to go to Washington, like Wayne just said. Now you're stuck with Dak for the next 5 years, the next 3 at least, because he's got about $200 million guaranteed. Yeah. So you're stuck with him for at least the next 3 years, and you're already going to tank. So now you paid the dude and you're tanking. Now you're doing both things that are wrong. You're about to lose your head coach. You don't have a culture there. You have players saying they want to leave and go to a division rival, like you said, which is blasphemy coming from a Dallas Cowboy to say, I want to go to Washington to do anything. So you're stuck with this now. You're stuck with this team. CD and Dak next year are going to take up 45% of the Dallas Cowboys cap. Just those two people. Now you have to spread the rest of your 50% of your cap left, the other half left, on 51 other players. And you know Mike is about to have to get paid. Also, you know Trayvon Diggs just got paid. And what are you going to do with Deron Bland? Now you have to fire, or not fire, you got to let Mike McCarthy walk. You got to pay a new head coach. You're going to have to pay some type of running back. You're going to have to pay, Zach Martin's probably going to retire. He's not going to stick around for a rebuild for what? So when he retires, you're going to have to pay Zach Martin to retire, with your offensive line being bad. I mean, this is just going all bad for the Cowboys. And it all started with a series of decisions, starting with paying Dak, starting with Jerry Jones making any football decision, and really going back a couple years ago, like Wayne said, Dan Quinn should have been the head coach of this football team. 2 years ago, they were deciding were they gonna give Mike McCarthy a couple more years on his contract, or are they gonna give Dan Quinn a contract? They gave Mike McCarthy a couple more years, and they brought Dan Quinn back as a defensive coordinator, and he stayed until the next year he got a job offer from Washington, and he left. And now that's proven to be what ended up hurting them the most, like you just said. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got to talk some more about this, because Jerry Jones had comments to say, too, about his team. Obviously, he always has comments to say. And then we got to talk about some more of these other teams and these other games that happened in the NFL yesterday as well. So, folks, stay locked in and stay right here on Centex Primetime. Got to take a quick break for the top of the hour, when we'll be right back after this break.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Are you looking for something new and
wired for free installation?
Flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Well, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, here in hour number 2, Centex Prime Time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. As always, make sure you go onto that YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and also download the app on your mobile device, Centex Sports One, so you can be able to listen to this content 5 to 7 weekdays. Every day we'll be right here. Folks, in hour number 1, we had Congressman Colin Allred on here with us, and we'll be repurposing that interview and putting it back out for those of you that didn't get a chance to tune in with us. But he definitely had a chance to talk about tomorrow, and it's an important day. Election day is tomorrow, so if you haven't already, guys, go out there and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you to just go out there and vote, because you need to be a difference maker in this country, and that's definitely always important. In hour number 1, we got to talk about the Saints firing their head coach, Dennis Allen, no longer the coach of the New Orleans Saints. We talked a little bit about a lot of these teams looking like they're tanking right now. That's kind of already turned in. And, you usually get that around, week 12, 13, 14. You start seeing teams say, hey, we're just going to turn it in. But in week 9, I think it's about 3 or 4 teams that have already said, hey, this kind of just is what it is. We're probably just going to tank for the rest of this season. And one of them being the team we just got done talking about, the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys now with Dak injured, his hamstring injury. I don't expect him to come back, because what would be the point of him coming back? They're probably going to be 3-9, maybe. By the time he comes back, he's going to be out at least 2 to 3 weeks with this hamstring, in my opinion. He said it popped in something like he's never felt before, so that doesn't sound like an injury. He's going to be back in the lineup next week with that. So, with that being said, he's out. Micah Parsons hasn't played since week 3. DeMarcus Lawrence hasn't played since week 3. Deron Bland hasn't played this season. The Cowboys they're in tank mode. Let's just keep it a buck. They're in tank mode. Like I said in hour number 1, they should have did like I suggested at the beginning of the season, and just tried out whoever at quarterback, and just go get a quarterback the next year. You can draft a quarterback, because this team would have already been built around that, because you still have all these players that you're paying. But now with CD and Dak going to be taking up 45% of the entire cap next year, I think with Dak's contract plus the incentives, he's going to hit $90 million against the cap next year. Well, it's just insane. For what are you going to get? That's the problem. We don't know what you're going to get out of these Dallas Cowboys after you do that. So we just got done talking about. I'm still here joining the studio with Wayne Walker, and we talked about them losing the game yesterday. After the game, Jerry Jones comes and does one of his interviews. He always does post-game for some reason, doing his post-game interviews, and he said, we're gonna be active in this trade deadline market. And he wasn't talking about being a seller. He was talking about being a buyer. He said, we're going to do everything we can to make this team better every single year, week in and week out. And for some reason, he thinks they should be in the conversation to get a player in the trade deadline, which is tomorrow, instead of selling. I mean, I'd be selling the house. I would, but outside of my young players, I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, all these other dudes, even Zach Martin. I'm sure you can get a top pick for Zach Martin. What is he going to give you out of his last 2-3 years? Is he going to make you a contender? No, you might as well try to get a high pick for that. But I don't know what Jerry Jones is talking about. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've had no idea what Jerry Jones has been talking about. None at all. He said that we need to treat players like they get scholarships. He said that we're going to be in the trade market. He said that I'm the GM and you guys don't know what you're talking about. He threatened the guy's job on the radio over the last few weeks. I have no idea what Jerry Jones has been doing the last couple of weeks, but that's Jerry Jones for you. Wayne, what do you think before we move out to Cowboy? What do you think about his comments?
Well, not only is his team in disarray, but he's in disarray too.
Yeah.
As you know, he is one of the only owners in the NFL that comes out and gives post-game interviews. Like you said, at least 29 teams, we don't even know what their owners look like.
Yeah, at all.
But he wants to be in the spotlight. He wants to make the decisions, and it's his team.
Yeah.
But it's just like being a race car owner and just going out and driving your own car. You know, man. And then you want to talk about being active in the trade, in trading. Well, what for? You're third in your division right now. Well, yeah, you're third in your division because Washington and Philadelphia has a commanding lead over the whole division.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to trade for? Your quarterback is not going to be playing anymore this year. If you popped a hamstring, that's at least a month.
Yeah.
That's at least a month and a half, and sometime even longer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a tough injury for him to come back from. Micah is not playing. Lawrence is not playing. Trayvon is not playing as he once was.
Yeah.
But it's all I don't know what to say about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are just like you say, tank.
Yeah.
And like we said with everybody else, tear it down and rebuild it. You shouldn't have gave Dax the contract. Like you said, if you're gonna be in if you're gonna have a losing season this year, you could have did that with Cooper Rush. You could have did that with anyone. You could have did that with me.
Yeah,
But they're in a bad situation, and like I said, I don't know how to fix it. They have a lot of questions to answer in off season, and it all starts with the owner.
Yeah,
you know. So instead of going out and trying to trade for someone to make your team better this year, if you're trading a guy, that means you're bringing in a guy that's going to make even more money, that's going to put you even more over the salary cap. So right now, you just need to stay pat and deal with this season and work through this, and then during the off season, you need to answer all those questions. So
yeah, you got to just, like you said, make it through this season at this point, and then you still got your first round pick. That's going to be, it's going to be a very pivotal offseason for the Dallas Cowboys, as was this last one. They just didn't do anything. And so going into this one, now that you're going to start out that much against the cap with just 2 players, and you still got to figure out a way to pay Micah, and you still got Diggs on this deal as well, and you still got Zach Martin on his deal as well. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and I'm already seeing how this is going. Kyrell was on there earlier in hour 1. He said they're going to get Travis Hunter. I don't think they're going to get Travis Hunter.
No.
Because Travis Hunter going to be the number 1 pick. I don't think they're going to have the number 1 pick anyway.
Well, they need more holes. They got so many holes to fill.
Exactly.
Like, the only thing that they don't really need to deal with is CD, probably Micah, and their kicker.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly. Yeah, and the kicker,
players. That's their best 3 players they have on their squad. So, anybody other than that, I would kind of let them walk. I would tear it down and rebuild it. Zach Martin is a Pro Bowl player, but how long is he going to hang around?
Yeah, I don't think much longer.
You went out and you paid Steele, even he's a Texas Tech guy, and I love him to death.
Yeah.
But he hadn't done the job. You gave him a contract as well, so he's under one of those big contracts.
Yep.
But they have a lot of work to do. They have a lot of things. They have a lot of questions that they need to answer.
And I see them going into the draft and drafting Ashton Jeanty. He's probably the front runner for the Heisman right now. them drafting a Heisman winner. That just fits Jerry's mold. And in my opinion, like I said, this is an extremely stacked running back class for those that's been watching college football this year. There's a lot of guys that are going to be coming out, guys that were considered top backs like Ollie Gordon and people like that might be the 4th or 5th back even picked in this year's draft. And you're looking at Omarion Hampton in North Carolina. You're thinking about Ashton Genty. There's so many running backs coming out this year. I wouldn't draft a running back in the top 10, but
me neither. Why?
What's the point?
You have to build in the interior.
Yeah,
you have to build inside out. I that's the only way you can do it. I don't know. I mean, the running backs that they have this year hadn't been getting any production.
Mm-mm.
I think they could have brought Derrick Henry in this year, and I don't even think he would have been productive because you have to have blocking. He could have did a little bit, because he can run over guys and he's a big guy. But a big guy like that, if you can't get started, then you're not running for a whole bunch of yards. So even at this point, even if they would have brought Derrick Henry in, I don't think he would have been successful. He went to the best team that he could have possibly went to.
Yeah, for sure.
That could utilize him because Dallas doesn't have any blocking.
Mm-mm.
If you seen yesterday, Dotto, he one step up the field and he was getting tackled.
Yes.
And that would have been the same results with Derrick Henry as well. So I don't even think it's that. I just think they need to rebuild it all.
Yeah, it's everything. It's everything. And like you said, the trenches is for sure where you should go because to me, that's what those top 15 picks are for. If you're not going to get a quarterback, you got to get a difference maker on the defensive line or on the offensive line. Going out and drafting a receiver in the top 5 was never, unless they're just a generational talent, it was never been my thing. In a running back, I always feel like you can find you a good running back in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, 4th round, because teams do it every single year.
Yeah. And you look at Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at their production, you look at their offensive line.
Yes.
They paid those guys on that offense, but they build from the inside out. They build they build in the trenches. And if you look at the old Dallas Cowboys squads, the ones that won the Super Bowl, the thing that you knew that they had offensive line and they had a defensive line under Jimmy Jones. And that's what they had. Jimmy Johnson, I mean.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that they had. They built from the inside out, but they had those guys in them trenches that could make a difference, and that's what you got to go out and find.
Yeah, so it's going to be an very interesting offseason for the Cowboys. So many holes to fill, so many cap maneuvers that they're going to have to try to get around with them being cap strapped going into this next year. Yeah, they have some money available still. They still got like $20 million available right now. But going into next year, you're going to have to pay somebody out there unless you're saying there's going to be another year that we just kind of decide we're going to go 8-8 or 7-win season. So I don't know what direction they're going to go in, but there's a lot of questions that need to be answered coming up in when they get to about March, April, May of 2025. So Dallas Cowboys drop another one to the Falcons and probably on their way to losing a few more games. Folks, we got a couple quick takes I want to get to before we get into a break. First, talk about a little college football. We're just talking about these running backs coming out, and it's going to be a crazy running back class. But Texas A&M, they lose their first game in SEC play this last weekend to a South Carolina team. And Wayne, we were just on here talking about this last week, how South Carolina is a team that can come in here and pick up a win against a team like Texas A&M because we knew how their defense is and we knew how this team plays at home. They gave Alabama a super tough game earlier in the season, playing at home, playing in front of that South Carolina fan base. This defense has got a couple of future first-round picks on it on their defensive line. So they go out there against A&M and they play dominant pretty much throughout the entire game in that game. So they end up beating them 44-20. What do you think about A&M picking up their first loss?
Well, A&M didn't rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
I mean, you have everything riding on the line and a big game, nationally televised.
Yep.
And you have that audience, and you can't rise to the occasion. And I'm kind of disappointed in them. But like me and you said the week before, South Carolina is capable of beating anybody in the SEC.
Oh, for sure.
And again, it's an example of the SEC beating up on each other.
Yeah.
So it's something that wasn't. I mean, my expectations of A&M were that they're looking forward and looking past those games to try to get to Texas, but you have to take care of business on the road.
Yeah.
And you were a hot team coming in, just beat a hot LSU team, and then you go and you lay an egg against South Carolina. So they just didn't rise to the occasion. And man, like I said, another example of the teams in the SEC beating up on each other.
Yeah, this SEC is tough. I mean, there's a lot of teams. We talk about it each week about how teams are going to get, potentially cheated out of making this college football playoffs. About half of those teams are going to come out the SEC because they're probably only going to take 3-4 max teams from there. But there's about 7 or 8 good teams in the SEC, good teams. And South Carolina is right on the borderline of those really good teams. They're 5-3 on the season. You think about teams like Missouri, who's not even ranked anymore. They're 6-2, and they're sitting in like 10th place, I think, right now in the SEC. 6-2, and just about every other conference is going to have you as one of the top teams in the conference.
Right.
And the SEC, they're sitting in 10th place, being 6-2. So this SEC is super tough. A&M still sitting right at the top of the SEC because they've only got one. They were the only team left in the SEC without a conference loss. Now they got one conference loss. But they're going to have to come out and take care of business against that Auburn game. I feel like it's just a trap game. Auburn haven't been playing good all season, and that's probably going to be their last game against a good opponent is against A&M. So they're going to give it all they got. They're probably going to play a lot of their younger guys, and these younger guys want to make a difference and want to get playing time for these following years. So they're going to come out and play them tough in that game, and that's in a couple weeks. So, like we said, A&M drops their game against last weekend in his loss against South Carolina. So they're sitting in second place right now in the SEC. Still a lot to play for, and that Texas game is going to be huge at the end of the season. Another team in the top 10 that was in a battle, they ended up being a really good game, Ohio State and Penn State. Really good game. We got to see that was an early morning game in that game last week, and Ohio State came out with the win like I expected them to be able to do, playing in a tough environment. I mean, there was about 110,000 people out there in Happy Valley. They had College Game Day there. They had Fox Noon Kickoff was there. It's 110,000 people screaming. They're all wearing white. And Ohio State showed up and played the right way. They Will Howard had a decent game, 182, 2 touchdowns and a pick. What I like to see that really stepped up in this game was their running game. Both of these running backs are 2 running backs, a part of this super stacked running game or running back class that's coming out this year with Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson. But I saw some things from Chip Kelly that I really liked in this game too, playing against this really tough Penn State defense. He kind of took advantage of some matchups. Penn State likes to run a lot of man, and he gave his running backs a lot of opportunities in the passing game and in the run game in this game. So Ohio State ended up coming out with a win, 20-13. What'd you think about Ohio State picking up a win this last weekend?
Man, that was a good game.
Oh yeah,
I kind of watched a little bit of it, but like you said, the adjustments that he made in the game plan that they carried out from Ohio State. Chip Kelly, man, it was wonderful because he put him in positions to be successful. And on the other end, like you said, man, it was all white. It was all white. That's all you could see in the crowd. And those guys came out and took care of their business. James Franklin, I mean, Penn State was leading.
Yeah.
Most of the game. But Ohio State stayed in. They stayed composed. And they took care of business. So now we know the top 2 teams in the Big Ten is Ohio State and Oregon. Indiana is still in there. So,
Indiana as well.
Yeah, so that's turning out to be a good conference race as well. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year. We got a few more games to see how everything all pans out.
Yeah, Indiana right up there, sitting at the top of the Big Ten as well, and they got Michigan this coming up weekend, and right after that they got Ohio State. So these next 2 games is going to be make or break for the Indiana Hoosiers. And like you said, Ohio State right back at the top. Chip Kelly did a great job running that offense. Ryan Day finally got a win over a top 5 team. I think he was 2-7 against top 5 teams in his time at Ohio State. He gets a win over them, and turned out to be a huge win for Ohio State, and their future's looking bright. I think, like we've said multiple times on this show, if they play on a neutral field, which they probably will against Oregon when they play in Indianapolis, if both teams win out, Ohio State's got a chance to still win this Big Ten and go into the college football playoffs as Big Ten champs. One more game I wanted to talk about before we get off college football that was a sneaky good game that a lot of people didn't talk about, didn't get a lot of coverage on it, was in the ACC and SMU staying undefeated in the ACC and got a huge win over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh team that was undefeated on the entire year. They were 7-0 coming into this game. And the SMU Mustangs are rolling. I mean, they're rolling. This is a team that nobody was thinking about at the beginning of the year, myself included. And like I said, when they made the adjustment to put in the young kid Kevin Jennings from South Oak Cliff, got to stay home, go to SMU. And I just heard Nick Saban on College Game Day say he's the most underrated player in the nation. So that's huge praise coming from him. And that was their last really ranked game that SMU's got on the season. They took care of business against Pitt. Now they just got to win out against a tough Boston College team that's coached by Coach Bill O'Brien, who was in the NFL for a long time. And then the Virginia and Cal. And SMU's got a chance to be right there in the conversation for the ACC championship or the college football playoffs if they're able to get to the ACC championship game. What do you think about SMU getting a win over Pitt?
Well, it was big. It was big, man. I mean, like they've been flying under the radar, and we talked about it last week. You know, SMU is probably the third best team in Texas, because we've said Texas, maybe Texas A&M, those two, and then SMU. Well, Clemson goes out and loses.
Yep.
They beat Pitt, so that throws them right up in the mix of things, man. I mean, they're on the verge of really getting one of these top spots in the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
So, man, I've been hearing good things about them all year. I've been keeping, a lookout and watching and seeing what this team has been doing. And, man, they've been finding ways to win ball games, and they've been dominant.
Yeah.
They've been dominant. It hadn't been anything close, really.
They dominated Pitt.
Yeah, they dominated Pitt. And I don't know who their only losses to. Who was that?
They lost to BYU at the beginning of the year, I think.
BYU.
Yeah.
So now that throws BYU right up in the mix.
Yeah.
And BYU is undefeated.
Undefeated.
So you think about what they're doing at Southern Methodist, and they're doing wonderful things, man. They right up in the mix of everything. So to me, we'll see them in that 12-man playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, that 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I mean, that Clemson loss was huge. It really didn't get any bigger than that as far as losses this weekend. Clemson losing this past weekend in Louisville. And like I said, Louisville's a tough team. And they were ranked earlier in the season for a reason. I think Louisville was going to upset a lot of people's seasons in the ACC. And they did it to Clemson. And they think they still got a chance to play. Or Miami might have already beat. Yeah, Miami ended up beating them close one. That was a super close game they played against Miami. It was 52-45 when Louisville played Miami. But the Louisville team got the upset, and it worked perfectly in SMU's favor. So SMU sitting right there now as looking like one of the teams to not only go to the ACC championship, but I don't think Miami is way better than SMU.
I don't either.
Especially the way Miami's looked over the last few weeks. I don't think they're way better than SMU. Honestly, I think Kevin Jennings is playing just as good as football as Cam Ward is right now.
And the thing about it is, Jalen, you think about it, SMU has been dominant, and Miami has been finding a way to win. They've been winning some close ball games down at the end, and man, I see that as a pretty interesting game if that's the ACC championship, SMU, Miami. And anything goes, anything can happen.
Anything goes in that game, and that's a game I'm really looking forward to. I'm definitely rooting for SMU to be able to finish out the rest of their games with some W's. And Miami's got a pretty easy schedule going forward from here. They got Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. So with those are very 3 winnable games, and I think, but like you said, the way that they've looked the last couple of weeks has kind of had me raise an eyebrow. Really, since that Cal game, it was a great game that they were able to come back and win. But since then, I kind of had an eyebrow raised at Miami just a little bit. They've been finding a way to win, and Coach Mario Cristobal is definitely doing a great job out there. But it's not too many people in the nation playing better football than Kevin Jennings at the quarterback spot for SMU, and there's not a lot of people playing better than SMU Mustangs right now, and that's something I didn't think we'd be saying this early into the SMU experiment, finally getting into a Power 4 conference. I didn't think we'd be saying that this early, but here we are. They're now ranked number 13 in the nation and got a good chance to probably finish in the top 10 in the nation when it's all said and done. So I'm definitely enjoying watching SMU. Got to talk a little bit about before we go to break. Baylor is on a 3-game winning streak, where that's the hometown team here. I had to do some MCC basketball, so I didn't get a chance to go to this last game. But Baylor has found a way to string together 3 wins, and they might find themselves and get into a bowl game this year. And that's the opposite of what I thought after seeing how they opened up Big 12 play in Baylor. And right now they're about middle of the pack on the season. They're 5-4 on the season. They're 3-3 in conference play. So obviously they're not in contention to be able to win, a conference championship or anything like that. But I didn't think that they would even be eligible for a bowl, or maybe just fighting to get to that 6 wins. But right now, the way that they're playing, 3 wins against Tech, Oklahoma State, and then a big win against TCU, who was kind of around the same spot. They were 5-3 before that game. And now they got West Virginia, Houston, and Kansas. Baylor's got a chance to now finish with about 7 or 8 wins on the season, which I wasn't expecting after how the season started, with them losing to Utah, Colorado, BYU, and Iowa State, all kind of back to back to back. So what you think about this Baylor team and them being able to pick up a win this weekend against TCU?
A very scrappy team, man, that's put it together. Offensively, running the ball, and the quarterback has made a world of difference.
Yeah.
And they've been playing defense. They've been playing pretty good defense.
Mm-hmm.
But that last game against TCU, some big third down plays they made. They've been doing everything they needed to do to win. You go back and you think about all the talk about Aranda.
Mm-hmm.
And now Aranda's got these guys going out and playing. Every time you talk about firing a coach and, talking about making a change, well, this guy goes out and shows you why they hired him in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been doing a tremendous job of going out and playing for this guy, playing hard.
Yeah.
And they're a very scrappy team. They just finding ways to win. And it's been a balanced attack. They've been doing it on offense, and they've been doing it on defense, and even on special teams. They go out and they play hard. So, kudos to Baylor. I enjoy them winning. The city is a lot better when Baylor is winning.
For sure.
And I just hope they continue to go out and take care of business and win a bowl, get to a bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're on the track to be able to do that. Only need 6 wins to get to a bowl, so they're sitting at 5 right now with 3 games left, and I think they'll be able to get a pretty decent bowl game if they're able to win out these last 3 games, which they're definitely capable of doing. And like you said, they found their identity on offense. They've got back to when Dave Aranda and they won that Big 12 conference title in 2021. Even though that was Matt Rule's players, they still had that identity of Dave Aranda that he wanted, and they ran the football. And right now they're running the football, 250 yards rushing. This past week, they found something in the young kid from this Waco area, Bryson Washington, who came out of Franklin High School when they won state a few years ago. Redshirted last year and was kind of hurt at the beginning of this year, so people started to forget about him. But, he had him on their back this week. 26 carries, 196 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the game. That's a big-time numbers. And he's put up big-time numbers in almost all the games that he's got an opportunity to play in this year. So they found an identity on offense, and they got this offense rolling. And that's a lot to do with Bryson Washington. That's a lot to do with Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, who found an identity with this team. And like you said, that defense, Coach Aranda is coaching them up and playing on that defensive end. So they're doing a good job right now being able to come out and get some wins. So excited to see what Baylor's going to do moving forward these last few weeks of the season. Folks, we're going to take one last break. When we come back, going to talk about a couple more of these games that happened on Sunday in the NFL. And we're going to preview the Chiefs versus Bucks game tonight on Monday Night Football, coming on in about 45 minutes. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime here in the home stretch of the show. Final 30 minutes of the show here. Want to thank everybody who's got a chance to tune in with me here today. Like I said earlier in hour number 1, we had Congressman Colin Allred come on here with us and talk about how important tomorrow is. If you guys didn't get a chance, we'll repurpose that interview and put it back out, but you can go back onto this episode and go back in and watch that as well. It's definitely very important interview, as it is an important time of the year. Folks, here in the home stretch, we just got done talking about some college football. Talked about the Cowboys and their struggles too as well, and I want to talk about a couple more of these games that we got to see in the NFL Week 9 week that's about to wrap up here tonight. We'll talk a little bit about Tampa Bay versus Kansas City here in just a minute. Still here joining the studio with the Waco Hall of Famer Wayne Walker here with us, and like I said, got a chance to talk about the Cowboys and some of their struggles, but I want to flip it and talk about a team in the NFC that is the best team in the NFC definitively now. I've been thinking that for a few weeks, if they were the best team or that they were the best team or not, but it's pretty standard and forward right now with the Detroit Lions and how they've been playing over the last few weeks, really since they got that loss against Tampa Bay, which was playing good football too before they got hit by all these injuries. We'll talk about them in a minute, but they've been rolling. They've been rolling. They took on the Cowboys team, and obviously they destroyed the Cowboys, but Minnesota Vikings were a good team. They beat the Vikings. The Titans, they're not good, but they completely blew them out of the water. And then the Green Bay Packers, who some people were saying, Green Bay might get a win this weekend, especially with it being in Green Bay. The elements was already showing up. It was cold, windy, rainy out there in Green Bay. And they found a way to go out there and get a win in convincing fashion. I mean, it ended up being 24-14, but Detroit was in handle of this game pretty much the entire game. Jared Goff still playing at an MVP level. A lot of people don't want to say that because he's not putting up 300-400 yards passing, but he's doing exactly what they need to win, and he's not turning the ball over. And besides not turning the ball over, he's not even getting incompletions. He was 18 for 22 in the game yesterday. I think all 4 of those incompletions probably came in the fourth quarter when they're kind of just running through the motions and trying to get from being out there and get out of there without any type of injury or something. But He was like 14 for 14 in that first half again, and we've seen him do that multiple weeks now. David Montgomery ended up having a good game. He got a lot of the workload in the second half, but I texted some of the group message yesterday, and I said, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is starting to rise as a top 5 back in this league. Week in and week out, he is a playmaker. When the game was close in this game, before they blew the doors open in that second quarter, that was mainly behind Jahmyr Gibbs. He only had 11 carries and went for 65 yards and a touchdown in that game, and got a catch for 11 yards in that too. But Jahmyr Gibbs is starting to put himself, in my eyes, in that conversation of being a top 5 back in this league. He's electric. We've seen him make plays in between the tackles. He is a threat to take it the distance each time he touches the football, especially when he gets outside the numbers and able to get out there with those secondaries, those cornerbacks, and those safeties. They almost don't have a chance. We've seen him shake somebody out of their shoes earlier in this year, a couple games ago, and had somebody flying out of bounds off a juke move. So he's shifty. He still has that element of power with him. He's a strong back. I really, really, really like Jahmyr Gibbs, and obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown, just a steady enforcer of this offense at the receiver position. 7 catches, 56 yards, a toe tap touchdown he had in the end zone against Green Bay, playing one of the better secondaries in the league when you think about Jair Alexander and Xavier McKinney and guys like that. And they were having their way against this team, man. We know the Packers are a good team. Sitting at 6-3, I still think they're a good team. And Detroit went out there and handled them at home as well, too. So Detroit's one of the top teams, like I said before, in the NFC. But, I mean, they're sitting right there as a top team in the NFL as well. Wayne, what do you think about this game yesterday, Detroit getting the win over Green Bay 24-14?
And they're handling their business. This NFC Central is probably the best division in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you got Minnesota, you had Green Bay, you have Detroit, even Chicago. Everybody had a positive record, had a plus 500 record.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going out and they're beating everybody in that division.
Everybody.
You know, Minnesota was undefeated at one time. They beat Minnesota. Green Bay been on the winning streak. They were in my top 5 last week, and they went to Lambeau and beat up on them. So they've proven that they're one of the top teams in the whole NFL.
Yeah.
A team that made it to the NFC Championship game last year, and with some different decisions by their head coach and some gaudy chances that he took, these guys could have been in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
But I think they're definitely headed back that way this year. So they rolling. And, it's gonna be hard to stop these guys.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know, and one of the things they said, well, now Aiden Hutchinson is hurt, so how are they going to respond? Well, their defense has gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't even missed him,
Nope.
and you can't run the ball on them.
Mm.
So I'm thinking all they need is a pass rusher, and if they go out and get one of them tonight or tomorrow, man, it's just going to add to their success.
And they've done it drafting well.
Yeah,
I mean, drafting very, very well. Aiden Hutchinson is one of those picks, but you talk about them being able to stop the run. They've drafted those guys in the interior line. They've drafted Jack Campbell in the first round a couple years ago at that linebacker spot. They've drafted
Sewell.
Penei Sewell on the offensive line. They drafted pretty much that whole old line out there.
Yeah, and so when we talk about teams that need to tear it down and rebuild it, that's another great example. They're in the Houston Texans of teams that's done that. You know, and Detroit is just in a great position. The organization is deemed for success for the next 4 or 5 years because of the way they drafted and the young players that they have around them. I mean, they're like 3 deep at receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They have a young tight end. The offensive line, 3 years or younger, that's been in the league.
Yep.
Running back, you know, all these guys, and their defense. Everybody is young, so they're primed for success for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So, man, probably between them, Baltimore and Kansas City, those are the top 3 teams in the league, man, right now. And
sure.
and you can throw Buffalo in there because Buffalo has been taking care of business too. But Philadelphia, Detroit is at the top of that list.
Yeah, Detroit's right there. And like you said, as far as a rebuild, I mean, this is, I think, even more than the Texans because the Texans drafted a quarterback and he hit, so it ended up working. The Detroit Lions, without drafting a quarterback, which a lot of teams try to do in their rebuild, they went and got a solid quarterback that's played solid football throughout his career and say, hey, let's build the entire team knowing that we have a steady hand in at the quarterback position. They get a Jared Goff. And in that trade that they got with Matt Stafford, they turned those picks into Aiden Hutchinson. They turned those picks into Jahmyr Gibbs, into Jack Campbell, Teron Arnold, the corner that they got out there from Alabama, Brian Branch, who's probably their best player on defense now that Hutchinson is gone, at the safety spot that they drafted. So, I mean, they drafted this team perfectly. In those years that they were sorry, they were tallying up those draft picks on the offensive line. That turned into Penei Sewell, who's probably the best right tackle in the league right now, and Frank Ragnow at the center spot. And they drafted Taylor Decker years ago at the left tackle spot. So they've done an amazing job drafting on both sides of the football. Everybody laughed at Dan Campbell's head coaching interview when he first got hired and said this guy looks a little crazy. He's sporadic. He's got a different type of personality, but he's implemented his personality on his team. They can beat you whatever type of way you want to play football. If you want to run the ball, they can run the ball and beat you. They want to pass it. They got plenty of weapons for Jared Goff to throw to. And like you said, since Aiden Hutchinson went down, their defense has played great. They haven't missed a beat since Aiden Hutchinson has left. And I mean, that's definitely a testament to this team. That's a testament to their head coach as well, man. He's implemented their culture, and the Lions are, like you said, top 3 team in the entire league right now. So it's been fun watching the Detroit Lions. They go out there and get a win yesterday over their division rival in the Green Bay Packers at home, which is going to end up playing out to be huge as they get further and further throughout this season. Especially, I think that might be the last game outside of when they got to play Chicago that they have to play outside in those elements. They got to play Chicago in December, but outside of that, they don't have any games they got to play in the cold for the rest of this year. Wow. So this Lions team is rolling, and they're going to stay on that exact same track as well. So we talk about the Lions, and we mentioned the Texans a little bit. Got to talk about the Texans. They played on Thursday Night Football, so we didn't get a chance to talk about them yet. They lost to the New York Jets. The Jets got back in the win column, but you were on this show, and you said on Wednesday how the Jets, this is probably a game that they can go out there and win on Thursday Night Football. So I wasn't surprised that the Jets came out there and got a win. My problem is more of with the Houston Texans. This offense, since we've lost, and we've got plenty of injuries. I mean, there's almost our entire offensive line is hurt right now. We lose Stephon Diggs, obviously, for the rest of the season. We haven't had Nico Collins for the majority of this season after he was leading the league in yards. But this offense right now stinks for the Texans. I just got to be honest. It's a bad offense. Bobby Slowick has got to find a way to get C.J. Stroud being back efficient. He took 8 sacks in that game against New York. He was 11 for 30 in that game, 190 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. C.J. Stroud's not a person that's going to turn the ball over a lot, but we're putting him in harm's way too often. The offense hasn't been able to find its footing. We're having success running the ball, but outside of that, it's not much success. Tank Dell ended the game with 126 yards. That was cool, but one of those was just from a huge run. I think he had like a 50-yard run in that game. So this offense is playing bad, man. What do you think the Texans can do going forward from here to try to regain the momentum they had going earlier in the season? Yes, they're injury riddled, but this offense hasn't been playing good for 3-4 weeks now.
That offensive line, man, is erratic, man. It's bad.
It's terrible.
And Joe Mixon has still been able to run the ball, but you have to get the tight ends involved, and you have to have your possession receiver, because if you see what New York was doing to him, man, they weren't going to be successful throwing the ball at all. And they were selling all that on the run. So they just don't have any playmakers right now.
Yeah.
Besides Joe Mixon to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Tank Dell is a good 3.
Exactly.
But he's not a good 1.
No, not at all.
He can't be you 1 because he's a smaller guy. So he has to be that guy that's in the slot and can take the top off the defense. He's not going to be your number 1 receiver on any team. So I just think they need to get healthy. And defense is just going to have to step up and get some takeaways and score some points as well, and put them in field goal range where they can just kind of squeak out some games.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only thing they can do right now is just, just get healthy. Try to stay in, just try to stay in the fight until they can get to the playoff and get those other guys back. Right now,
yeah.
I think they do need to go out and get another receiver because with Diggs being hurt and Nico being hurt, you don't have you can't depend on Robert. Robert Woods been in the league for over 12 years.
Yeah.
So he can't get open. I mean, he can't do much. He can be a good plug-in player right now, but they just need to stay in the fight. Their defense they need to rely on their defense, and they just need to get healthy and maybe go out and get another offensive guy, like another receiver that can help them.
Yeah, and like it all starts with that offensive line and how they've been playing. And we've hit on so many draft picks over the last couple of years. They've done great, but one thing we've missed on is that offensive line. We drafted a Kenyon Green in the top 15 when we had a top 15 pick that we're not going to get anymore. We're not going to pick in the top 15 anymore, and we drafted Kenyon Green. We've missed on a Juice Drugs. We drafted in there at center. Titus Howard, we drafted a right tackle over about 4 years ago. So they've missed on some of these on the offensive line. They got to find a way to improve that offensive line, or all the magic is going to go away because C.J. Stroud can only do so much. You're going to end up getting the young dude hurt out there. I mean, he had 9 carries for 60 yards in that game. And I'm glad that he was able to get some yardage, but that's not what you want to see from your franchise quarterback. He's not even a runner type of guy. That's not even his style of offense. So the Texans got some stuff they got to figure out. Still sitting at 6-3 right now in the top of the AFC South. So they'll be in good position to make the playoffs, but they got to figure some stuff out before the playoffs get here. I want to talk a little bit about one of the other teams, or the other 2 teams in the NFC East. We talked about the Cowboys, but the Philadelphia Eagles go out there and get a win over Jacksonville. That's not super impressive, but Philadelphia Eagles are sitting at 6-2 right now. It's a team that had a lot of questions before, about halfway through the season. They were sitting at 2-2. So they had a lot of questions around them. Since then, they've gone on a 4-game winning streak. Now they haven't played the best competition in that 4-game winning streak, but they're winning the games they're supposed to win, and they're getting into form right before they get these last 2 games. They get these last 2 games that are in their division, which is the Cowboys and the Commanders are the next 2 games. So those are going to be huge and important games for them. Playing this right now, they're rolling. We all seen the play of the year probably right now with Saquon jumping over a dude backwards, which that was just absolutely insane to even think to try that. And then you have to time it, not even looking at the defender at the same time because you're jumping backwards.
Instinct.
Just crazy. This is the stuff that we thought Saquon Barkley would do when he got drafted out of Penn State. The best running back prospect there's been probably in years, probably since Adrian Peterson. I mean, there's nobody that's been more of a running back prospect coming out of college than him. And now that he's got a good offensive line, we're seeing what he can do every single week. 159 yards this week and a touchdown to go with. 3 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown as well. So Saquon Barkley, if it wasn't for what Derrick Henry was doing this year, I would say he's by far the best back in the league right now. But I still think it's a pick your poison, whichever your preference is between him and Derrick Henry as well. So Saquon's playing phenomenal. But the Eagles are rolling right now, man. What do you think about the Eagles in his NFC East?
Well, man, their offense looks unstoppable right now because they're balanced. I mean, you can throw it to your tight end. You got 2 wideouts. And you can run the ball. Man, when you can run the ball, it makes everything so easy for you to do. It makes passing easy for Jalen Hurts. So, and they put it together on offense. So once you put it together on offense, man, it just makes playing football so easy. It makes it look like touch football or pick up football in the yard, where you can just go out and you can, you got to pick your poison, But that offensive line has been great. They've been protecting them. They've been able to run behind these guys. Barkley.
Yeah.
And like you said, right now, very productive. Adds another edge to their team. And skill position wise, I don't think it's a team more talented all around than Philadelphia, with the quarterback, running back, 2 receivers, and their tight end.
Yeah, and then plus the way that the offensive line has been playing too. So Philly's going to be a dangerous team going forward. A lot of people gave up on them towards the beginning of the season, but Philly's going to be a team that's right in there for one of those top NFC teams, I mean, I wouldn't even be shocked if them going to the NFC Championship game, depending on what their route in the playoffs is. But I wouldn't be shocked about that at all. The other team in the NFC East, I want to talk about real quick, the Washington Commanders. I've been waiting for this team to take that step back since about week 3 or 4 in this season. They were playing great football, and Jaden Daniels obviously elevating them to another position. But, I mean, they're sitting at 7-2 right now, and it's just got to be sickening to watch if you're a fan of the Cowboys, because this could have been your coach. He's doing this with lesser talent. Jaden Daniels, I think, is top-tier talent. There's nobody else on this Washington Commanders team you look at as a top-tier talent at their position in the NFL. And besides Jaden Daniels on that team, the rest of these guys are good players, but they're mostly middle-of-the-pack players. I mean, if the only guy maybe on the offense you would consider more than that is a Terry McLaurin, but he's not even producing like that on the offensive end. Right. It's these other guys stepping up. Noah Brown, who was on the Dallas Cowboys as well. The guy like Noah Brown and Austin Eckler, who's an older back kind of out there helping them out. They lose Brian Robinson, and then they get the young dude, Chris Rodriguez, comes in there and rushes for 50 yards. So they're getting production out of multiple guys on both ends of the field. Dante Fowler had 2 sacks in that game against the Giants that they won. He was on the Cowboys. These are guys that he's brought over from the Cowboys and brought them into this system. Dorrance Armstrong had 4 tackles in that game. Dan Quinn is putting his identity on his team. And at this point, I got to just sit back and say the Washington Commanders are a good team. Sitting at 7-2. They got one of the best records in the league. This is a team that just picked number 2 in the draft last year. Now they're sitting at 7-2, a top 5 record in the NFL right now. Dan Quinn's done a phenomenal job. What do you think about the Commanders in their season so far?
Jalen, totally unexpected. Nobody expected this. If you would have told me that they would be 6-2 at this time of year,
yeah.
I mean, people would have bet millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but, man, like you said, it all starts from the top, and it starts with developing your players, and they're going about it the right way. Dan Quinn is doing a tremendous job. I said this last year when they let him go, that Dallas was going to be in this position because that should have been the coach that they hired.
Yep.
This guy has had success everywhere he's gone. He's been with 2 Super Bowl teams with Seattle, the Legion of Boom, and it's all been defense. That was a defensive-minded, defensive-led team.
Yeah.
Then he goes to Atlanta and was the head coach, even though they lost the Super Bowl. He could have easily been a Super Bowl winning coach.
Kyle Shanahan runs the football. Yeah. They won the Super Bowl.
Right. So you talking about Kyle Shanahan being a coordinator under him, and this guy was a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy is a defensive guru, a genius, pretty much. If you think about Dallas last year and what he did with Dallas over the few years that he was with, they were number 1 in turnovers, scoring defense. Every year. But that led to easy points for the Cowboys because he always flipped the field and you had more opportunities. Now you don't have that. And now you're seeing Dak struggle. Now you're seeing the Cowboys offense struggle.
Those same all-pros on defense.
The same guys.
Same guys.
But it's always about the system and knowing how to develop your players and knowing how to put them in position to be successful. And that's what he's been able to do over his coaching tenure.
Yeah.
Wherever he's been. And so, man, and then you get Jaden Daniels, and this guy comes in, he's everything you need and more.
Yeah.
And he kind of, when you elevate this team, he has put them over the top. And not doing too much.
Yeah.
But doing just enough to win.
Exactly.
You know, so I see Washington as a top tier team. I still think they're a little young.
Yeah.
I still think, you know, their talent, efficient. I mean, efficiency right now is not as good as Philadelphia, Detroit, and these teams. And then you got to say San Francisco and all these teams. But hey, they putting up a fight, man. By looking at them, you wouldn't know it, and that's what I'm gonna say. But and they done a tremendous job right now, and I'm anxious to see if they can come out. Philadelphia have Dallas this week, but then they'll have the Commanders the next week. That's going to be a big game in the NFC East, and we'll see how that turns out, and then we'll come back here in the studio and we get to talk about that. But right now, Washington is a pretty good football team, and they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, they've found a way to win week in and week out, even in struggling a little bit in their last game against the Giants. But it's a division game. That's what you expect out of playing one of those division's opponents. And that game in a couple of weeks, like you said, that's going to be for first place in the NFC East, which is turning out to be a two-team race right now between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. So that's going to be great to see. I can't wait to be able to watch those games and see how this turns out for Jaden Daniels and the rest of these guys moving forward. Got to talk a little bit about the game that's about to come on in about 20 minutes. Tampa Bay taking on the Kansas City Chiefs this week or tonight in about 25 minutes here. They'll be playing against the Super Bowl champs, two-time Super Bowl champs, the only team in the NFL still left undefeated. This Tampa Bay team is extremely beat up, losing Mike Evans, losing Chris Godwin for the season now. This team was rolling and playing good football until they lost those guys. And but last week they showed me some fight. They lost to the Atlanta Falcons, but that game was close, and Atlanta had to go out there and win that game and to be able to put that game away. Baker Mayfield, he doesn't care who's out there. This dude is going to fight no matter who he goes out there and play. That's what he's done his entire career from when I got to see him play when they beat us in high school when he was at Lake Travis, to him going to Texas Tech and then Oklahoma to the Cleveland Browns and then even now here. He's a fighter, and this team is going to come out and fight, and they're on a national stage playing against Kansas City, who was just playing. I mean, they're just finding a way to win week in and week out. They don't care how they win. They don't care who gets the stats. They don't care who gets the catches. On the defensive side, the offensive side, this is the most well-coached team in the league. This is the most well-ran organization in the league, and it shows. So what do you think? We got a couple minutes left. What do you think about this Tampa Bay versus Kansas City game?
Tampa Bay is one of those scrappy teams. Like you say, Baker is going to give you everything he has.
Yeah.
Right now, they're a little down because, two of their best players are out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But defense-wise, they'll go up and they'll put up a fight and they'll try to find ways. That's what their head coach is. He's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
So they'll try to find ways to confuse Patrick Mahomes. But when we're talking about Kansas City, you're talking about a team that's an unselfish team. Nobody cares about how many catches they get, how many yards they get. They just care about winning. Yeah. And when you have an unselfish team like that, man, that's all you want.
Yeah.
Because all they care about is the W. They've been in this mode for the last 2 years. Like, nobody cares about the praise. They care about the team praise. And they're going to be hard to beat. Anytime you have a team like that, man, the guys, hey, you go out and do your job. Just do your job, and we'll be okay. You always have a chance to win. I think Kansas City will win this game.
Yeah.
Because they're just an unselfish team that just cares about winning.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on all the stuff you said. Kansas City's going to win this game, and it's because of their unselfishness, because of their willingness to listen to their coach, to follow their quarterback. And this team, I mean, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat them for the rest of the season. I'm hoping that the New Orleans Saints don't mess up the rest of the league and trade Marshawn Lattimore over there to the Chiefs, because if you're a Texans fan like myself, or if you like the Ravens or the Bills, you almost know it's over with if they get a guy like Lattimore that already adds up the way that this team is playing. They bolster their defense some more, and they find a way. They're probably going to pick up another receiver. They already got D-Hop, but they're probably going to pick somebody up in free agency as well. So this team is loaded. They're going to win tonight against the Bucs, probably pretty handily. It'll be close to the beginning, and Kansas City's going to pull off. So, folks, we're out of time here today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. As always, make sure you go back and look at that interview. We got to interview Congressman Colin Redd. Tomorrow is Election Day, so make sure you guys get out there and vote. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. As always, subscribe to the YouTube on there and download the app, Centex Sports 1. We'll be back here tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. Make sure you guys get ready for that and tune in for that. We also got MCC basketball tomorrow, so make sure you guys are gearing up and getting ready for that. We will see you guys next time. Everybody have a great evening.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in